Hello and welcome to this episode of Kaleidoscope, the podcast with my guest, Rachel Brook. Rachel and I met through the Wellbeing Hub. Rachel, you're very welcome to Kaleidoscope, the podcast, all about change and transformation. You and I have met, as I do with all my guests, and you know the premise of the podcast. So I'm going to ask the four questions and then I'm going to hand it over to you to answer in whatever story you wish to tell.
Yeah.
So the questions are, what was life like before the change? What was life like during the change? What was life like after the change? And what does the future hold? Not that any of us have a crystal ball, but as far as we can tell. Over to you.
Oh,
Thank you.
okay. So I thought today there's been lots of changes in life, but focus particularly on ADHD and menopause, because one exacerbated the other. But it did then lead into my work life and I made changes there. It's made huge life changes. So diagnosed with ADHD in October 2023, very closely followed by having a total hysterectomy on the 31st of October 2023. So I was thrown very quickly and very fast into surgical menopause. Unbeknownst to me, there is a hormonal link between the exacerbation of ADHD symptoms and menopause. Kind of makes sense with the PMDD symptoms I was experiencing before, because I was only 45 at the time. And I went from being kind of on top of everything to I didn't know which way was up. There were days I couldn't even get words out, just simple phrases. I just didn't know what the hell was happening. I was forgetting things where I've always had, been really on it, really with it, like missing appointments, forgetting where I was supposed to be, not posting things, but just really like little things. But the more I did, the more I was getting stressed out, and the more stressed I got, the worse I got. So I was in a bit of a repetitive cycle. And just decided, like, right, do you know what? Something's got to give here. I cannot continue in living like this. This is horrible. So I decided to look into, right, what can I do naturally? And what can I do that'll help me? And equally, then I did try some medication, didn't agree with me. But I have now settled on HRT. So I know, like, it's each to their own, very much each to their own. And I have since settled on some ADHD medication because life was just so up and down. And a single mom with a business, with an SEN child, a hormonal teen, I needed something just to, so go the natural route, but I do also use the natural route. So I upped my wild swimming. So very avid about the cold water therapy. Love it. And not just in the gym because it's boring, but the nature fix. So very much about grounding. So sometimes if I can't get out, I'll be often seen pottering around my garden in my dressing gown barefoot in all weathers, snow, ice, you name it. I got more into my crystal therapy and I enhanced my Reiki training as well. So I'm at master and teacher level, and that improved my self-development and my ability to self-heal. I trained in menopause massage. So it's a very specific massage with using acupressure points and certain oils, and then using magnetic healing plasters that you leave in place, because it was relevant to me and I wanted to help other ladies hopefully not struggle like I have done. But obviously I was looking for self-healing. I trained as a menopause seed, so which is I could get funding to set up a group. So again, it was meeting other ladies who are going through things and got, kind of championed menopause for a little while. I went along to a conference where a lady professor spoke and said that, she went from being very top of the game to suddenly not knowing, like, she'd lose a word. And I was like, oh my, wow, it's not just me. I thought I was going crazy. I actually did even go to the doctor and ask if I was getting early onset dementia because it hit me that hard and that fast. Now everything's settled down. It's, things are more steady away. Yeah, it's still more difficult, but managing the symptoms in much more natural ways. So like my diet's better. I'm much more like, I never used to drink herbal tea. Now I love it. And I've come away from caffeine, reduced my sugar intake, just getting out with, going to the gym, going out in nature, because yes, your body hurts, but actually I found training and adding in some resistance training is actually really beneficial for ladies in menopause and in late stages. It's not all about cardio and being gym bunnies. We need to add in a little bit of resistance at this age. And obviously, yeah, bringing in the healing into my massage and passing on those, like what I've learned personally to my, my female clients as well. So the change has been, I rebranded the business in that time. I've moved house, and the change has brought about like a more balanced life and a better understanding of where I am on this life path and what the hell happened. When I just felt like the rug had been pulled from under me, which is no surprise really, but I think I just underestimated how much surgical menopause was going to hit hard and fast. I really, really did. I think I'd struggled with PMDD, so I kind of thought, oh, I'm not going to have the bleeding, so it's going to be okay. And huge underestimation. So yeah, my life now is about trying to support other ladies who are going through the PMDD stage or the perimenopausal stage, and then going through, coming out the other side as well. Obviously I do lots of other things, but it really has brought about, if I'm struggling with something, I try to research it, get to learn about it. What can I do? And then how can I turn that into helping others? Because sometimes I just felt like I was just on my own. I felt like I was going crazy. I really did. So to hear from other ladies, it just reassured me that actually, this is, I'm not alone in this, and that really, really helps. Because it is a minefield, and it is, menopause conference I went to, it is the highest rate of divorce. That when women file for divorce, and actually I had a relationship breakdown as well. And I can see why, suddenly this person, you yourself, you've changed, you have changed. And if somebody's not kind of on the same page and understanding that you are going through a change, there are going to be issues and there are going to be problems. And I think this is why we need to learn so much more. And like a lady I know has written a book called Menopause for Men. And I do think, if we can get across the board understanding, so it's all right, women supporting women, but, it needs to be out there. And obviously I know firsthand of how difficult and the extra pressure that added into my life. So yeah, been single almost a year now, and life has come out and settled. And yes, I'd like to meet somebody at some point, but it affected absolutely every area of my life. And yeah, that's where I've turned like the negatives into positives and focused on my wellness and my own well-being this year. And then what can I do to help other ladies? So the menopause massage training, the menopause seed training, attending the conferences, reading up about things, particularly reading around the ADHD and the hormonal links and the exacerbation symptoms. And people, all of a sudden just high functioning women just suddenly kind of losing the plot almost. So making it relevant to help myself, but to help others as well. So I kind of feel like I'm much more on an even keel now, 2 years down the line. And yeah, life is like pretty good and pretty balanced. And yeah, using every skill I could possibly do to ground myself and come out the other side and come out of it as a learning experience and added qualifications, and kind of turned like, okay, I've struggled with this. What can I do to help me, and then pass on this to other people, and sometimes just be there as a listening support, because I didn't have that person at that time, and it would have made such a difference had there been, it's all grown massively since then. you know, menopause became the hot topic, literally, didn't it? But it wasn't. And I felt kind of alone on this ADHD and menopause journey at first. Now there's many more people, and I've connected with a lot more ladies. And I just think that there's so much more, and it's, you know, breaking those taboos is really important, and supporting other ladies and equally men and families as well, because, you know, my girls saw their mum kind of change, and, you know, me crying because I've lost the keys again, you know, and running late for things, and, you know, I wasn't the same mum anymore. So they've had to deal with things as well, you know. They were only young at the time, like 8 and 12. So still young, you know, so not quite young enough to think what the hell's going on with my mum. Um, you know, it's they've kind of had to go through a cycle, so it is a ripple effect. But equally, then when you get a handle on it, the positive ripple effect as well. So life has been physiologically, financially, emotionally, mentally, everything changed, and I would say life is now back much more on an even keel, and I hope that long may it continue. And I hope to continue with, you know, learning more, supporting more, because it's a journey that every lady's going to go on. Some will breeze it, some won't. And just, you know, the hope that we can support not just ladies, but men, relationships, families. You know, there's the whole thing in workplaces now. But yeah, there's so much more that people can learn, and just to know that people are not, they're not going crazy, and they're not on their own. And that, yeah, you just reach out, and there are places to reach out to now. And obviously, you know, I would like to consider that myself as once one of the safe places to be, to reach out to. And I have had people message, and I'm free for, you know, open to messages and chats. And I just think, yeah, look for your tribe, look for your support. It is there now more so than ever before. And it's so important to talk when you actually feel like you know, you're losing just, yeah, just everything. You don't know what day it is, you don't know what's going on, you just, you know, you're changing as a person. And to be supported through that journey, I think, is very, very important, and it's a support that I didn't have at the time. So I would say to all ladies, and for their, you know, other half families, get support. It is available, and it's, you know, it will make your journey much, much easier in that transition, because it is a huge transition, especially if it's surgical. It's brought on hard and fast, and menopause itself can be a testing time. And those who are out there who are neurodiverse as well, you know, dealing with that whole change as well. Again, get the right support, reach out, GPs, ADHD consultants, or even, you know, your therapist. It depends what route you want to go down, or blend of the both, which is, you know, I've chosen a blend of natural therapies, cold water, exercise, nature, crystals, Reiki, massage, as well as going on medication as well. But everyone will find what is right for them. But just know that you're not alone, I guess, is the main message that I would love to put out there to ladies. That in that dark time when I did feel very alone, I would never want anyone to feel like that.
And thank you very much. Just to go back on a couple of things, it's very strange. I was diagnosed with autism and ADHD in October 2023 as well.
Oh, wow.
I know there must have been something going about in the weather that
Yeah.
time. So you kind of jumped straight to there. To me, from my reading of our conversations, that's during the change, getting that
Yeah.
diagnosis and then going for the hysterectomy.
Yeah.
So if we can transport you back,
Yeah.
what was life like before you got the diagnosis and before the hysterectomy, please?
It was starting to get more and more difficult. The PMDD symptoms were getting stronger. And obviously I didn't know then that, like, the hormones were at play with the ADHD. obviously the physical symptoms like super heavy bleeding were affecting me. I was low iron. So I just knew that something was amiss. So life was getting more and more difficult. So both diagnoses and the agreement to do the total hysterectomy, I thought kind of would bring about, like, sort of brought about a temporary relief. I didn't know what was coming. So life was not easy, certainly not easy. Obviously, there'd been ongoing health issues before with the PMDD, and I didn't know that the ADHD was being exacerbated. I didn't realize that at the time, but it was obviously just bubbling. It just super whacked it up a notch, well, or 10 notches once I'd had the hysterectomy. So yeah, trying to manage that and manage very young children then at the time. So it's been a very long journey, really, of there's a lot of difficulties, but a lot of positives as well at the same time. So yeah, life before the big change was still difficult, but way more manageable. I was more on top of things. I was more with it. But yeah, still not easy. And obviously some ladies will start down this journey like myself, like many years ahead, and not actually even know what journey they're even on because it doesn't get recognized. So yeah, looking back, there was a lot of signs for a lot of years, but actually, especially after my second daughter arrived, it just seemed to tip the hormones massively. But yeah, definitely way more. Things were more controllable and I was more on top of things. But just knew that something wasn't 100%. And life wasn't easy. It wasn't a breeze, but it was way more manageable before.
And that makes me wonder for any females, um, how much are you masking and how exhausting is this?
Oh,
Because if you're saying life was easy,
gosh.
for most of
Yeah.
us, and I know ADHD symptoms are one of those things of one of the things that will be an ADHD symptom for you might not be for me.
Mm,
I know that. But for a lot of ADHD um, neurodivergence people, losing their keys is a regular kind of, I couldn't tell you the
I am
number of keys
terrible.
my daughter has lost for our house. Like you couldn't
Yeah.
count them. And so on and so forth. It's not for me to talk about her, but that, just when we talk about keys, that's the thing that springs to
These
mind.
bank cards, yeah, I am so bad. It's
But for a
constant.
lot of neurodivergent people, that is, and then as you say, going through menopause, whether you go
Mhm.
through a surgical menopause, which is really, really severe
Mhm.
because it happens almost
Yeah.
instantaneously, or a natural menopause, it kicks it up, as you
Yeah.
say, about 10 times. It makes everything because that hormonal imbalance then is. And for people that don't know what PMDD stands for, it's premenstrual dysphoric disorder. And it's a severe form. So for those that think, well, it's just PMS.
Mhm.
No, PMS
No.
is me being a little bit grumpy. And I
Mhm.
don't, I'm not trying to downplay for anybody, but I would have suffered PMS. That's a little bit grumpy. PMDD is again, it's 10 notches up.
It's awful.
It's
Yeah.
it can be
And
catastrophic in
yeah.
people's lives. Absolutely catastrophic. For like 2 or 3 days and then it's gone. And they're kind of
Mhm.
like, what and what? How did I
Yeah.
completely lose the plot for like 2 or 3 days? And it's only if you notice the cycle and notice
Yeah.
that's what's going on
Yeah.
with you
It
that
would
you would
normally
actually
be I'd
know.
start bleeding and be like, oh, that's why I wanted to kill people 2 days
Exactly. Exactly. And
ago.
that's the first clue. Whereas, and that in a way is really, really sad of us that we are so removed and distanced from our own body that when we go completely off the chart, we don't go,
Mm,
I will now go hibernate for 3 days because
yeah.
this is
Because we
coming.
can't, pressure
And
and
that's part of the issue as
relax.
well.
And yeah,
We don't
we
have,
don't get that escape where I
you
try
have got
now.
to,
Yeah, I try now
you've got to
and
make money.
recognize when I'm going into overwhelm and do give myself that break where I didn't before. I would just push through And I don't think that was very helpful. And I know some people, like, I know what it's like being a single mom. I know it's like having a business, but I do try putting me time. And if that me time is walking around the garden barefoot with the kids in the house, then that's what I'm doing. You know, it's still
Yeah.
me time. You know, I'm
Yeah.
up early with the cats watching sunrise. It's me time. It's quiet. It's peaceful. I'm grounding. I've got bare feet. I'm, you know, just watching the trees, listening to the birds. So it doesn't necessarily have to be, you know, like, oh, you know, anything big. You don't have to do any. If it's a salt bath with candles, it's something, you know. We can all do a little bit of something in our lives, and I do get it because I've got two quite difficult children, who I love dearly. But you know, sometimes I used to feel overwhelmed at the thought of like, well, I can't relax, I can't do anything. So it's, you know, there are things that you can do, and just putting
Absolutely.
them into your day and changing up that little routine and just realizing like, oh, I'm getting up here, right, I'll just take myself outside and just do some deep breathing, some belly breaths. That alone in itself will just bring it down. And it's recognizing those signs of like, I'm starting to get super stressed and so overwhelmed. I just need to go do something, you know, just, yeah, literally take it, remove yourself from the situation. If it's just stepping outside, then that's all it needs to be sometimes. You know, we're not talking on like go for a massive hike or book a treatment or whatever. It can just be, right, I'm feeling overrun. I'm just going to go outside, take a few deep breaths, have a drink, have a little wander, do whatever, or even just sit and just, right, focus, calm, and just, and then back in the room.
Yeah.
It's,
No, and for me, I suppose that's part of the beauty of this is it doesn't have to cost money. It doesn't have to, but it is for me. It's that feeling of I have to go to work. I have to be earning money. I have to look after children. I have to, and we put this enormous pressure on ourselves. So the first step is being aware
yeah,
of what's going on for yourself, and then again, and this would be one of the reasons I do the podcast is for people to try all
yeah,
these, go outside with bare feet.
yeah.
Sit. I have this last week we've look at the color, mate, and that's my curtains
Mhm.
closed, and I can't make it any darker in here, but I'm all pale because it's so sunny, which is lovely. I'm not complaining. But what I've been doing is I've been sitting in my bedroom with my window open
Mhm.
and soaking up the sun, so that I'm
Yeah,
getting that vitamin D. I'm getting that feeling of grounding, and I just imagine roots from my feet going
absolutely.
down
Yeah,
into the
it can
ground.
be
You don't even
done.
have to go
Not,
outside.
not,
And it is that thing of there are lots and lots of ways for us to help ourselves for free.
yeah,
But we have to be aware of what's going on in our bodies first.
yes.
And the other thing he said was about the medication. And you're quite right. There are some people that can manage all this without medication, and that's fabulous. But some of us need a little bit of helping hand. And
Yeah,
for me, it's a case of don't judge. If you
no,
have never walked in
exactly.
another person's shoes, don't judge. If somebody
Yeah,
else needs medication for whatever
yeah,
reason, that's their body and that's their choice, and it's up to them. And nobody can sit because we haven't felt your pain, we haven't felt the stress, we haven't felt the overwhelm, we don't know what it's like, and therefore, and I personally, like you, I love all the natural stuff,
hmm,
but sometimes it's just not enough.
yeah,
It's not, and there's
absolutely.
no judgment. And for me, it's that thing again of somebody out there maybe listening to this and thinking, I really need to take something. We really need to take something, honey. You take something.
Yeah, because I,
And if,
I
and if
was
somebody,
judged. People looked at me like I was the devil when I said I was starting HRT and ADHD medications. Like I, you know, some people around me, they won't even take a paracetamol, and I'm cool with that. But that's, you do you. You know, I literally was looked like frowned upon, and I'm like, nobody should be made to feel bad. You do you and whatever you need to do for you. And that is another message that 100% I would like to get out there on. You know, if you're struggling, then reach out. You know, make those choices for yourself. Do not be swayed by someone else. You know, and as a doctor said at the conference I went to, with the best will in the world, some women will breathe menopause. Some, they need to replace that estrogen in their body, and no natural product on the market can possibly do that. It has to be prescribed. But yeah, there are a camp of people, and that's their opinion, and that's cool for them. They live by that, but do not make anyone feel bad for making choices for themselves.
No, because you can't know how painful it is or how confusing it is. And if you are neurotypical and going through menopause, that can be difficult. I'm not saying it's easy for
And
neurotypicals,
yeah.
but if you're neurotypical and going through it, you've no idea how it feels to be neurodivergent and going through it. No idea at all. And so, yes, I would be the sort, I have medications in there and I don't take them
Mhm.
unless I need them. If I need them, I'm taking them and I'm not making any excuses to anybody.
Mhm.
Um, but I prefer not to take them if I can
Yeah, absolutely.
possibly
Yeah.
get away with it.
Yeah.
And I think that would be most people, I think, would say if they had a choice, if you had a choice in
Yeah.
this, you wouldn't do it.
No.
But because of the two things happening and because
Mhm.
and seriously, I only had one ovary removed and the two fallopian tubes. So mine was only a partial
Mm.
surgical menopause. So I partially know. And I've got autism and ADHD. So I partially know what you were going through. I think if anybody had offered me something at that stage, I would have taken it, but nobody knew.
Mm.
I just lost the plot. I was just having a breakdown.
Yeah.
And it's only with hindsight you can go back and go, oh, I had cancer.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was menopausal due to the surgery.
Mhm.
I had ADHD and autism. Oh, that there was things at work, but equally it might have been all those other things as well. So it is great that people like yourself are being brave enough to come out and have these conversations and make it more publicly known that again there is a whole spectrum of,
Yeah, absolutely.
like you
And
said,
what works for one
some
will
people
not
will
work
breeze
for
through it,
another. Yeah.
yeah, and
It's
others will suffer tremendously,
yeah,
suffer tremendously.
yeah. Unfortunately.
So sorry, go on ahead. Unfortunately,
Unfortunately, yes, I'm well, and it's getting the word out to those ladies that, you don't have to be alone. And yeah, hopefully, we'll get to this no judgment stage of, you know, people trying to ram information down their throats. They just, and it's hard when you're overwhelmed. And actually, someone trying to make you feel bad because you're considering medication. No, it's not. That's not okay. It's not okay. It's not okay to be struggling when there is help out there. And yeah, there's so much, and there's very different camps of people, but just go with your gut instinct. And if you feel like you need help or you feel like medication would work, then go with it. Try it. And if it doesn't work, come off it. But get the help. So you don't have to suffer alone anymore is a massive message. And
yeah,
I wish I'd sought help kind of sooner. I
yeah,
really do.
yeah. And what does the future hold?
Oh, I would like to think that the business will continue to build, that I will help lots more ladies. And definitely, yeah, I'd like to focus more on like the menopause and the neurodiversity side of things and, start running small groups and healing events and things. And yeah, hopefully I can navigate this journey with now there's much more support, and now I feel like I've gone through the worst of it, that I've kind of on a balance, that now I can reach out and help others and just continue to enjoy the rest of life, I guess.
Yeah. So we're down to your last three wee questions. Um, your favorite book, your favorite phrase, and what you would tell your younger self. Don't have to answer all three of those. One, two, or
Um,
three.
Favorite book I bought not long ago in the airport, and it's Confessions of a 40 something fuck up. And it's very good. And actually, she's so much like me. It's amazing. I think she must have ADHD and menopause. And my favorite phrase is nothing is impossible. Even the phrase itself says I'm possible, from my favorite lady, Audrey Hepburn. And then what was the other one?
What you would tell your younger self.
My younger self, don't stress the small stuff. I really, I lived in my head and anxiety. Looking back, some of it was probably ADHD, but I would go back and enjoy my life more.
Absolutely. absolutely. And I think that's part of the issue is that we put ourselves under so much pressure and stress for things, our house, our children, our children's behavior, their clothes, belongings, etc., to be perfect. And actually, hello, is anybody getting food poisoning in your house? If not, stop worrying about it. Do you know, I kind of, anyway, that could be a whole episode all on its own on other people's judgments and how we have put those on ourselves, what other people think. And yet, I don't know about you, but how often is anybody in your house to see how clean or dirty it is?
Yeah, yeah.
But anyway, I love that. Don't sweat the small stuff. Rachel, thank you so much for your time and for
Thank
being
you.
so open with telling us about your journey. I wish you continued good health and I hope you go from strength to strength. And as you say, I hope your business continues to grow and you help more and more women going forward because, yeah, there's lots of us need support and help, particularly menopause and neurodivergence. I think menopause is getting out there now. I think that the whole menopause with neurodivergence is still fairly new.
There's a long way to go.
Yeah. So I wish you all the very, very best with that.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.